bunch of little birds, like kind of this mid-morning like this. I've been putting off harvesting to the last minute, letting everything grow in this really nice weather. So I'm going to start harvesting tomorrow, Thursday, do a little more harvesting on Friday, and then I'll deliver and sell on Friday. Yes, and then today is Wednesday, so what I'm going to do is try and wander around and collect all some of the seeds that I've been letting go to seed. And I have some bok choy that was volunteer in here. You totally can't see. There it goes. And so I just let them go to seed, not because I planned it, because I was just negligent. There's a couple of them right there, and these are ready. And I'll be lucky if I just don't spread bok choy seeds all through this bed. Okay, so I actually ended up pulling the plants out, and then I've been, oh my gosh, sitting here in the shade, stuffing them into this paper bag. And whatever sticks up, I stuff down in farther. Yeah, I don't know anything about saving seed really, but I saved some orach seed last year. Just stuck it in a bag and hung it from the kitchen, in the kitchen, above the kitchen, whatever. And it worked out really good. So I don't think these have probably crossed with anything else out here, because there's really not much blooming. I expect that this is way more seed than I will ever need. But there it is. And we're gonna move on to the garden. I'm letting the lofty salad mix get bigger. And I'll be cutting out of this Salanova patch this week. But what we're gonna do here is wander over past the carrots. Dudes, you remember this? I was planting some spinach and some arugula. And the spinach was supposed to be mixed with orach, but dudes, it was mixed with radishes. Anyway, that's another story for another day. But what I have over here by the carrots is some parsley, some curly parsley that I let go to seed. But the thing about this stuff is, I think it's still in the flower stage right now, because there are all sorts of little pollinator buddies hanging out. And last year it didn't make it to seed. It got too wet and cruddy, and that was it. So anyway, I hope the parsley makes it this year, but I don't know. This is the weed. This is the weed situation at the bed ends that I need to take care of today, if I get a chance. I got everything else weeded in the garden, and so I got to take care of these guys. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. What I wanted to look at next was, I let this spinach, I had a little bit of spinach plants. This whole bed was spinach earlier this year, and I left these guys, and I noticed they were flowering, and I thought, oh well, what the hell. And it looks like they've got some viable seed here, so I'm gonna yank this stuff out next. Okay, so some of this seed has already fallen on the ground, but whatever. I got a little bit in here. Okay, so hanging out in here with my cucumbers at the very end here, and my tomato plants, is orach. And this was super successful last year, and these guys are totally ready to pick. So it is 82 in here and super humid. Oh, it says it's 8:53 in the morning, but it's not. Yes, so I'm gonna grab these. So tomorrow it's supposed to, did I already say, cloud up and maybe sprinkle some, and then we're supposed to get a period of rain, and so I kind of want to get, that's one of the reasons I want to get these guys now, because they'll be all wet from condensation and whatever. Okay, so I got most of the seed while I was in here, but then I went ahead and clipped one of the plants off and then sat outside and clipped the seeds off. And I hope I didn't lose too much seed, but I'm seeing a couple of them down here. And I saw one over here. Oh no. But that gives this nice little cucumber plant some more light. And whoa, while I'm in here, I might as well talk about these cucumbers, which I have left on the vine for a very long time in hopes of getting some seeds off of those. I also had some radish seed coming on in the radish plants at the bed ends in the other greenhouse, but I just decided not to mess around with it. So I ended up kind of just pulling those out. I've got some radish plants and bok choy plants that I pulled from the bed ends out in the garden that I threw in the compost. And I'm just gonna probably have so many volunteer bok choy and radishes in the future, but whatever. A few weeks back, I harvested some chamomile flowers out of my garden to use for tea. And my plan was like, oh, I'm gonna snip all the little tops off of them. But they're just such a ratty mess that I decided to put them all kind of really loosely in these, you know, paper bags and hang them up so they'll just dry and, you know, I don't know, deal with them later. And now I have all of my seed hanging up in the kitchen. Okay, so that is temporary control of my horsetail forest. More weeds back behind this greenhouse. Yes. Tomorrow and the next day, I'm going to squeeze in my harvest and selling into 2 days again. It worked before. Let's hope it works again. Last year in 2021, I did a video on how I do my marketing, harvesting, prepping, selling, and not a whole lot has changed since last year. Just a few things which I'll probably talk about. But here I am filling out my spreadsheet as my orders come in after I send my text out to my customers on Wednesday night. After I'm done filling out each order, I change the text from red to green so that I know that I've finished that order. And then later, after I've harvested, I enter the amount that I've harvested down in the section at the bottom. This basket, half bed, 20 feet, lofty salad mix, and we'll see how much this weighs. It's about the perfect size. Perfect size. Moving over from the lofty to this bed of Salanova. I think we're going to go ahead and weigh this little 1 row of Salanova, and then we'll get the green. Okay, so I actually got less green than I thought I was going to get out of this 1 row, 10 feet. So I think that what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a 2nd row of green and a 2nd row of red and call it good. Last week I talked about my carrot conundrum as far as this bed of Merita, which was intended for resale, for selling to customers. And I've got, you know, these 4 rows that aren't quite ready yet. Then I've got my bed of Giants of Colmar, which was intended for personal use. But I'm going to go ahead and harvest out of this bed and sell to customers because this bed of Merita is not going to be ready by the end of the season. So these will be used for personal use. So I just grabbed a couple boxes of carrots. I just took the one row out of that bed. Normally what I do is I band them up while I'm out here in the garden, but because they were kind of, you know, threatening a little bit of rain maybe today, I just wanted to get everything out of the garden as soon as possible. I make a list every week for the things I'm harvesting, both for customers and personal use. And then I make a separate list for my lettuce mix harvest. Bum, bum, ba, bum, 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 ba, bum, 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 ba, bum, bum. Last week I talked about how I really need twist ties just to wrap around and twist these together, because what I have right now are rubber bands and it's hard to get the carrots in here. And so what I've started doing is, oh my God, without trying to break the tops off, is tuck these one at a time into the rubber band. I definitely like to, you know, harvest and wash as soon as possible, because what I found is even if I leave the carrots sitting for like an hour or something, it's so much harder to get the dirt off. And I do like to harvest and bunch them out in the garden, because as I'm fiddling with them out here in the wash station, you know, their little hairs getting stuck, you know, inside each other, and I'm trying to pull them apart, and it's just so much easier to, you know, pull them, bunch them in the garden. I last year would run the salad mix in 10-pound batches, but this year, because I've got the Lofty salad mix, which is a lot more delicate, so I don't want to run it as long in the bubbler, so I've been doing it more like in 5-pound batches. I'm running the bubbler for about 1 minute, whereas last year I would run it for like 4 to 5 minutes or something like that, because I was, you know, just running the Salanova, baby chard, and orach, which held up fine in the bubbler. And I've noticed that even if the Lofty salad mix leaves are very tender, if they're smaller, they do fine. They seem to do fine in the bubbler. It's really just the really big leaves that seem to get torn up a lot more. Okay, done with that project. I've got my 2 tubs of carrots and my 3 tubs of lettuce mix in the fridge here. I will bag the lettuce mix up later. This first cut of Lofty salad mix plus the Salanova, green and red, is so gorgioso. So now that I've harvested a few things, I'm going to fill in this section here. So I got 24 carrots. And so what this does is it takes, you know, how much I'm going to resale and how much I harvested, and whatever is left is for personal use. I used to do a whole separate sheet, you know, where I put everything in. It was so time consuming. And so this just tells me how much I'm using. Oakley dokley, getting the rest of my cucumbers. Total of 52 cucumbers, and I only needed 46. Okay, so now I am packing up the cucumbers. In the past, I used to do a 4-pack, which was about 12 ounces. And it was a little more expensive. Now I'm doing a 3-pack, which has been running about 8 ounces for less expensive. So I've got my patch of basil I'm gonna harvest. Normally what I do is I cut it in the morning, the day of delivery on Friday, and bind them up with a little rubber band, stick them in a glass of water up at the house, and then right before I deliver, I stuff them into some paper sandwich bags like I do the cucumbers, and then I deliver them. Last week, I harvested the day before because I wasn't sure I had enough basil to promise to people, and I get people's price totals, cost totals to them Thursday night. So I harvested on Thursday, stuck everything in a glass jar, sat overnight in the house. They did fine, maybe got a little wilty, and then I put them in the paper bags right before I delivered. What I'm gonna do today is I'm gonna harvest. I figured I had enough, so I'm harvesting the day of. Why would I rubber band these when I can just stick them straight into their sacks? I was about to start harvesting my greens. Guess who I see? Mom and baby. Where's the other one? Here he comes. There's the baby. Oh boy. There's my little deer friends back in the back there. So yes, the sun popped out. I'm in a different shirt and a different hat. And I'm out here to get a little bit of chard, some kale, and a little bit of parsley. So we'll see how much I can get. I got mostly Italian parsley and a few curly parsley. Beautiful. And these are items entered after harvest. I put the location of the garden where I harvested, and it chugs out my personal use and my total sales. And then I'm pretty tired on Friday after selling, and so I wait until the beginning of next week to do my note taking and my garden logs, which I will probably do a video about in the future. There is a couple of crane fly doing the deed. 'Tis the season, I guess.